Hello and welcome to jobskillshare.org. We are announcing a brand new series for the desktop engineers or somebody who is getting into IT support and would like to learn more about Intune because most of the companies today now are using some sort of hybrid technologies where you have systems where users are using it at home or remote offices and they're using something like Intune or other products where they can manage it from cloud. What this means is that a lot of people are using something like this, where you, as an admin, have access and you can basically create devices, applications, and deploy it throughout the world. Wherever they are, they can get connected. You don't have to be in the office sitting in the same network and managing the machines, but you can now use something like Intune. It's been there forever, but they change it very quickly. The names gets changed. So for us, we have to also keep up with these changes. In this course, the instructor after this will explain everything where you see the changes, how to manage devices, how the application works in this, and why this is important, why we are doing this course. Because if you go to a job description now, you're going to see a lot about Intune like this. Just like what we have done before in our courses for past 10 years, we think that the job descriptions, the skills that people demand usually are not in most of the certifications, or even if they are, it's very separated and they don't give you a full picture of how things works when you go and apply for jobs. So Intune is getting a lot of attention, and that's why you will see that in most of the description like this. So now when we cover Intune in our series, you will have no issues tackling Intune. We are going to cover it from explanation side to all the way towards practical side of this, like how to deploy Intune, how to troubleshoot, what we can do, all of that stuff. We will cover that in this series. This series will be available in multiple formats: YouTube, other areas, wherever we think that we need to update our content, wherever it's basically related to the Azure cloud management for devices. We are going to start updating that soon. So after this, instructor will take over and explain how this course is going to work and conduct a lecture, and this series will go on in a sequence. Thank you so much.
Hello and very warm welcome to this Microsoft Endpoint Manager and Microsoft Intune video series. And here's in the introductory lecture, we're going to discuss both of these products, and we try to clear the confusion between both of these products and give you a little overview of the portals and the products and how you can utilize these products in your environment and how these products adds productivity and security and compliance to your network, to your corporate sector. So let's start with the next slide. And here we try to clear the confusion first, because you have heard the Microsoft Intune, Microsoft Endpoint Manager a lot. But the first thing which I want to communicate here is what that the Microsoft Intune, specifically the Intune, is a part of Microsoft Endpoint Manager products. But what just happened, that the new name for all endpoint management related products, which means no more Microsoft Endpoint Manager. What does it mean? It means that when you try to access the Microsoft Endpoint Manager portal, so you will find that there's a mentioning of Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So they just again rebranded, and Microsoft is rebranding their products for a long time, and they just changed the naming, and that's why people get confused, the IT professionals get confused. But here in this video, in the first introductory lecture, I really want to clear that confusion for all my viewers and listeners. So here, what just happened, Microsoft also introduced a growing family of endpoint management related products, now known as the Microsoft Intune suite. But again, the confusion creates that we are using the name Microsoft Intune suite. It's a suite, but it is, if specifically the Microsoft Intune is what Microsoft Endpoint is, a suite of products that include Microsoft Intune as one of its components. So Intune in particular specializes in mobile device and application management. So here you can see in the last bullet, as I mentioned, the two links here. So first one is what, the intune.microsoft.com, and the second is what, endpoint.microsoft.com. So both of these portals are exactly same. So what happens when the Intune was separated from the endpoint? So when you try to log into the intune.microsoft.com, it navigates you to this mobile device portal, and where you can manage your mobile device and mobile application management. And endpoint is just specifically managing the device security and all that endpoint stuff. You apply policies, you compliance your devices. But now what happens, that they merge both of these links, these portals, and it is confirmed, and you can just take it this like that the Microsoft Endpoint Manager is a general name. Take it. Okay, so it's a generic name for all the products which includes in the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, the Microsoft Intune itself. But the naming, and now when you log into the endpoint.microsoft.com, you will see what, Microsoft Intune Admin Center. And as the people know, and like the professionals who use those portals back, and they work on those portals a lot, so they knew that when you log into the endpoint.microsoft.com, you'll see what, the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, which is mentioned on top, which I'm going to show you here in this slide. And also I will just take a trip on these portals as well to clear your confusion. So let me open the portals first to just clear my point, what exactly I'm saying here right now. That in the legacy days, you see what, the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center, and it is the same exact portal which you log in this day. If you try to log into the Microsoft endpoint.microsoft.com, so you will see what, that the Microsoft Intune Admin Center is mentioned. So it is the same exact portal, but the name has changed to this. Now it is look like that, Microsoft Intune Admin Center. But the Microsoft Intune, and Intune does what, it controls devices, it manages your MDM and MAM, and with the Intune you can remotely, with the cloud solutions, you can manage your devices, your Windows operating system, your Android devices, your tablets. So the Intune gives the ability to the Microsoft Endpoint Manager to manage the mobile devices. But just the word Intune, they use it for rebranding, and just rebrand it in this way that they make what, this Microsoft Endpoint Manager as the new, what is the name? It is now the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So let me open the portal here for your ease, and here you can see it is the same Microsoft Endpoint Manager Center, but now it is rebranded with Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So this is actually in generally what the Endpoint Manager Admin Center, and it contained the Microsoft Intune as a product, but they use that Intune word for rebranding the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So here you have all these services which are on left, which we are going to discuss here more. And let me go back to the slide, and if you try to open this intune.microsoft.com, so let's see where it navigates us. So here it is using the Microsoft Edge browser. So let me fit it to the screen for your visibility. Now here it required the email address and the password. So let me do what, let's close this one and try to copy this link, and here I'm going to paste this link here on my browser and press enter. So once you type this intune.microsoft.com, it's gonna navigate you where, to the same Microsoft Intune Admin Center, which is already open there. And if you do the same with this endpoint link, so it's gonna navigate you to the same Intune Admin Center. So the confusion might be clear at this point, and I tried to make my point, and I want you guys to understand this with more ease. So here you go, the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So at this point, the confusion is clear, I guess, that we have what? We have two different portals, but the Microsoft rebranded the Microsoft Endpoint Manager with the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So Microsoft Intune as a product is a part of what? The Microsoft Endpoint Manager itself, but they use the word Intune for rebranding the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So after clearing that confusion, let's move forward. And here's the deal that Microsoft Intune has these following plans for licensing, like the Microsoft Intune Plan 1, Plan 2, and Microsoft Intune Suite, and Microsoft Intune for Education, which you can further search and further you can research on these plans, and you can find out your requirement, and then you can match that requirement to the offered plan, and you can take your decision. So these are the plan which you can further investigate in the documentation, and we're going to just do a separate video on these plans and these services, these licensing. Now, what actually the Microsoft Intune is? The Microsoft Intune is what? It's a cloud-based service offered by the Microsoft that falls under the category of MDM and MAM. So as I discussed earlier, that the Microsoft Intune is a product, right? And it is integrated in the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and it's a pod, it's a component of the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and it falls under the category of MDM and MAM, and it is designed to help organizations manage and secure their mobile device application and data. And with this Microsoft Intune, business can centrally manage and control mobile devices such as smartphones, tablets, and even some desktop computers. It also allows IT admins to enforce security policies, configuring device settings, deploy application, protect company data on enrolled devices. So here, after covering that part, it made pretty clear that the Intune is a separate product, right? And Microsoft does what? They just take this word Intune, maybe they like this Intune word a lot, and then they rebrand the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Now, the key features of the Microsoft Intune include the device management, the application management, definitely because it falls under the category of MDM and MAM, which means what? That it should have the device management, application management. Also, by managing the device, it does what? The data protection, conditional access, endpoint security. So let me open the portal again and just give you a quick trip to all these services. Now, if you go to the devices first, which is listed on top, so here you can see we just have single machine that is connected to our Intune Admin Center, which is managed by the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So if you click to the all devices, you will start seeing the status of all the devices that are joined and that are managed by the Admin Endpoint Manager, which is now the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. And if you click to the monitor, so you will see some stats and the status and the profile. So here you can see the assignment status. Here you can see the compliance of the device. You can further check the enrollment. So if you go to the autopilot deployment, you will see the results if the autopilot is done. And you can see the incomplete user, enrollment failure, cloud attached devices. Here you can see the software updates, per update ring status, installation failure for iOS, and this is the Mac. This is for Mac OS. This is for iOS, feature update failure, Windows expedited update failure. You can check all the status from here. And if you want to go for the other, so you can see the other actions as well. Now here, if you click to the assignment status, so you have only one profile here, that is the standard profile. If you click on this standard profile, so it will show you the assignment of this policy, the compliance of this device, and which is succeeded as it shows. But if you definitely have more than 100,000 devices, you will see all that data here, and in the form of graphical charts, the pie charts. Now if you click to the device status, so you will see the status of this device, how it is joined, and when the last device update is, what is the last status update, which is mentioned here, and the device name as well, and the user principal which is used to join that device to the Microsoft Intune Admin Center, the endpoint manager. So this is the device details you can get from here. And also if you want to search by platform, let's say you have 100 Windows devices and 10 Mac devices and some Android devices, so you can search by platform as well. And here you can see it is compliant already, the OS version, and last check-in, as you can see, managed by Intune. And if you click to the compliance policies, so here it's a good way to explore the compliance policies of the device. You can further use some PowerShell scripts to run your automated task. And if you go to the Windows enrollment, so you can see you have autopilot deployment feature that contain deployment profile, devices, Intune connector for Active Directory, for hybrid control, which we are going to explore later. And this is this co-management setting. This is another product of the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Like the Microsoft Intune, it is another product which you can find in the endpoint product details. So here this product is used for on-prem devices, and when you have the hybrid environment and you use this Intune connector for Active Directory, then you can use this co-management. This allows you to manage your device from on-prem and from cloud as well. So here's the Windows devices. Let's come back to the Windows devices and let me click back. So in this way you have iOS, you have Mac OS, Android, Chrome, and here the list of enrolled devices. So if you click here, you will see all the status of enrollment, which way you can use to enroll your device, like Apple enrollment, Android enrollment device limit restrictions, which you can set here. So it is default like 5 devices limit is assigned, and here you can define how many devices each user can enroll. So right now it is 5. You can change it if you click to this detail. So you can configure, you can alter that detail, and you can edit this limit like that, which is 5. You can make it 2 and review and save. So it's gonna restrict the specific user. And how does this happen? That when user use its email account or cloud account to enroll the device, and when you already set the limit on the user, so this user will no longer able to add more than the devices which is already limit. Like if it limits to 2, so user will not able to add more devices and does not able to violate the restriction. So this how it's work. Then provision Windows 365 and some policy stuff which you can see here, device category, cleanup, policy sets, which we will further explore in some specific videos for the devices in this Microsoft Intune Admin Center. Then the apps, here it's what it is, your MAM, Microsoft Application Management, and here you can see the apps. If you click to the all apps, all those apps which are working in your environment, you can test from here, you can deploy from here, you can even manage. So let's say if I click to the network speed tab and have a look here, it shows the data, the graph, that where and how much this application is installed, where you can see the license available is unlimited. You can use how many you want, but it is not installed on any of the devices right now because it is a test environment. We haven't installed that applications, But here you can see this one is assigned is yes. So if you click to the Microsoft 365 apps and see that it is installed and it is total 1, and that's the detail, the user status and the device status. And if you go to the properties to manage, so here's the name of that application and the logo. You can verify it from here, and here the app suite configuration. So if you click to edit, you can further alter this app suite, and here you can allow any of the app from here which you want to allow to the user to have. So if you remove the check from the access, user will no longer access this Microsoft Access application. And here you can do further more settings like default file format. You can set from here, update channel you can set from here, and use shared computer activation, languages, remove other versions, yes, version to install latest, or you can go for the specific. You can select the version from here and you can mention here, so it will just replicate it on the user side, and then you can save and move ahead. So let me click cancel, and further you can go for the assignment on which user groups you want to assign this app policy. So that's how you can manage it. I showed the single app, how you can manage it, and you can explore this with the multiple apps, which we will create some scenarios to show you how it works. So here you can monitor the app licenses, and there are much more here to explore. Now let's come back to the slide and move forward. How to access Intune from the Azure portal. So if you want to access the Intune from the Azure portal, it is quite simple. If you type Intune here, so there you go, you will find this Intune option, and then you will see that that's a new tab opens, and it will navigate you to the same Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So here you have the same Microsoft Intune Admin Center, and you can manage your Intune environment here from this portal. So this is how you can navigate from Azure portal to Microsoft Intune, and we already explored this device management via Intune. And the last, if we talk about the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, which is rebranded as the Microsoft Intune Admin Center, but it is what the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. In generally, you will call it the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and it brings the following component like the Microsoft Intune. This is the top one, which we already explored on the browser. Then you have the Configuration Manager, which was formerly known as the System Center Configuration Manager, the SCCM. And this component is primarily focused on managing securing traditional desktop and server devices within an organization. Then you have what the Endpoint Analytics, which you already have on the Intune, Windows Autopilot, we already showed that, Desktop Analytics, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. So let me show you all these features here. So here's the Endpoint Security, and here you can manage the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. If you click here, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, so you can further move ahead and manage the policies. And here you can see the compliance devices with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, devices without. So you can get the data from here and then manage these settings. And here you have the Microsoft Defender Security Center. So if you click here, so it will navigate you to the security.microsoft.com, and here you can manage the Microsoft Endpoint, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint in a more granular way. Here you can just take the reports, you can add some more sophisticated tool to defend the new threats that are out there. And here you have a lot more things like action and submission, threat intelligence, threat analytics, and all that data you can get from here, on which you can take decisions, you can make documentation, and further you can you have the analytics of the threats and your defense program that is working in your endpoints. So here you can further manage the policies from here. And if you on this endpoint security profile settings, it does what? It allows Microsoft Defender for endpoint to enforce endpoint security configuration. So when you allow it on it, so you will have all these options available to apply. But right now we don't have any assignment maybe, so let's click to the monitor and see the assignment failure, and maybe there is no device is used and assigned. So here you have conditional access, where you can define different properties for access. You can define conditions like the location and other stuff for the VPN user, for the remote user. So if you go back to the slide, and you can see that we have covered all these products that are integrated where on the Microsoft Endpoint Manager portal, which is rebranded as the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So all these are the part of the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and it brings together these components, but the Intune board is rebranded as the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. And in the last, if you see this, I could say topology or diagram, so you can see the Microsoft Endpoint Manager is on top, which has all the access, all the powers, and the Intune is used for cloud management, for managing the device via cloud, and this configuration manager console for the on-premises, but you can connect it to the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and it becomes what? The co-management workloads. And for this co-management, you have all the accesses and all the required applications and portals to manage your device from both ways. So that's how it looks. Thanks for watching.